or the harder you work, the more luck you receive. And it's not only hard on yourself, it's hard on everyone in your life. Is that the only thing you need to be a leader is someone that follows you.
What is bleed scaling?
Hypergrowth. Okay. And going into growth.
Which is what you're doing right now, is that what you're saying?
Well, not yet, no.
Okay.
It's a very risky thing to do.
Hey guys, welcome to the Convo Couch. Today we've got PT from Nexo. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. So I'm originally from Austria. My father founded an IT company in 85 and I was born in 87. So I grew up with computers. So I have a very strong kind of tech background. And this is kind of how everything started with my career towards technology and working with computers, I guess. My Australian career started about 8 years ago when I moved over here. And I accidentally ended up in legal with law firms, and I worked for Gilbert and Tobin, and my kind of Australian career started here at G&T.
Why did you move to Australia?
Well, that was back in the days because of love, which did not work out. Okay. But I found new love and I got married this year.
Oh, right. Congrats. This year?
Yeah.
Wow.
In May.
Okay. Congrats. New husband, new wife.
Yeah. Definitely. It's good.
Okay,
married life is treating me well.
Yeah? All right. That's not what they say all the time, but all right.
Because I grew up in a very small town. I grew up in the mountains. So very brave for my father actually to start an IT business in 85. Like who in the mountains need a computer, right, in the 80s? Probably always thought that I would just take over my father's business. But he was great that he said it's an opportunity for us, like for me and for my brother, but he would never push it and force it onto us. Like it's our choice to do our own thing. With having the opportunity to come to Australia and live here for a little bit, I had to take it, just do it. And I loved it here. I'm not going to go back for a while, I think. And one day I was like, okay, I want to have a little bit more impact. I want to do something and build something from ground up. And I saw an opportunity and thought, why not?
And you described it as like LinkedIn for lawyers. For
yeah, so yeah, it is kind of it's an easy way to explain it, right? Yeah. Because LinkedIn is widely used. The problem was, right, it's fragmented in the meaning that a lawyer, and also with accounting, right, but with lawyers specifically, they can only give advice in the jurisdictions where they're admitted to, right? So an Australian lawyer can only give you advice here in Australia. But you as a business or as an individual, if you need advice anywhere else in the world, they can't give that to you directly. So they have usually their networks, right? And as soon as I heard network, I thought about LinkedIn and social network in that sense. And it was like, okay, a way in how we can approach it to solve this problem around connecting or finding these people is with a network. So that's why we thought we built kind of a LinkedIn style system for lawyers and other professionals to connect, build global reach, and then have some tools on top of that to streamline the delivery of the services.
This is your second startup.
It kind of is, yeah. But the first one terribly just crashed and burned.
Right, okay. All right, so there's like lessons to learn from that experience, I would assume. So what are some of your lessons?
Well, don't do something for the sake of doing it. It was around blockchain. It was a huge hype, right? Everyone was talking about it. So we thought, let's jump on the bandwagon and do something just because of doing it. But if you're not 100% committed and passionate about it, it's not going to work. And we weren't. Like, it was just a thing we want to do, because it's hip, whatever. And failed. Blockchain basically is kind of this distributed ledger technology and how they call it. Basically, you have a decentralized system where there's no single authority who helps you kind of get to a consensus or trust within kind of this network. What we wanted to do is kind of a thing where crypto gaming became a thing.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of CryptoKitties. CryptoKitties was the first real mainstream crypto app.
Right.
And it's basically a trading card game where there is digital kitties with a unique digital footprint in a way, and they called it their DNA, and specific on that string what was stored on the blockchain, you could own this asset, this digital asset, and you could sell it and trade it, right? And we wanted to do something similar to that. I grew up with a game back in Australia which is called Top Trumps. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No.
We had a deck of cards, and it's usually with cars, and both players have their own deck, and then you read out each other's cards, their performance, for example, horsepower, right? I challenge your card on horsepower. If I have a higher horsepower than your car, I get your card, right? And then you just play until someone has lost all their cards, and then you reshuffle and you play again.
Yep.
And this is kind of what we try to put into or onto the blockchain in a way where we thought, okay, there's kind of this digital card ownership, and every card is unique, similarly to the kiddies as well. And you could play and you could challenge others, but if you lost your digital asset and the ownership transfers to the winner, basically, right? But we ran into a lot of issues.
Okay.
So yeah.
So it's basically like blockchain games, or like blockchain maybe almost like gambling, you know, where you like figure out who has the bigger hand.
Yeah, this is
cards.
probably the problem we ran into as well. There was all this gray zone in, is it gambling? Is it not gambling? Do you need a gambling license for it? Do you not? And because of our background in professional services and with law firms, I did not want to risk anything and play in this gray area and be a little bit of cowboy, because it could damage kind of my career, what I've built up within the legal industry. So we didn't go too hard at it. We were a little bit scared and holding back, and yeah, at the end
I think that's good for like when you first start up a new sort of business or venture, like you're just sort of testing the waters and figuring out how it all goes. And like you don't lose everything in the first round or something.
Yeah, it was good because we didn't really invest anything in it, right? Because it was a very cheap thing to start. It's just our time. Yeah. We learned a lot on the way, and I was naive as well around it. Right? Like, oh, it's going to be easy. It's going to be that. It's not easy.
Okay.
When I started about 7 years ago, there was no innovation. It was not a thing. Just lately, about 4 years ago, it started really pushing towards, hey, lawyers need to use technology to improve the way on how they deliver services to the clients. They have to be a little bit more cost effective and efficient. And I was lucky to have been exactly in that time at a law firm to have experienced all of this and going through. So I know how the industry was before there was innovation, all the way to everyone talking about it, and now finally people actually really doing something about it, which was cool. There's this thing out there where people say lawyers do not like to change. I disagree. I think they do like, or they do change, if the change is beneficial and actually improves things. What I've really seen is the openness for them to talk to startups and also look into new technologies and trying new things. That has definitely changed a lot. And also the usage of cloud. That I think was one of the big moves and shifts within the industry, that they all started looking into cloud strategies and moving their computing into the cloud and was accepted to have it in cloud, which opened up a lot of opportunities. And now there's so many legal tech startups and regulatory tech startups and fintech startups and all in professional services. So
yeah, given the rise of all these different startups, like legal startups and fintechs, how do you foresee, I guess, the business landscape will be changing in the next 5,
that's really hard to predict. Very difficult to predict. But if you look at marketing tech, for example, right? I think marketing tech, when it started off, I just recently saw kind of a little bit of a graph on that. It started off with the first year, 150 startups in marketing tech, and then it was 300, and then it was 500. And I think currently the recent map was with over 7,000 whatever startups, right? So very, very crowded space. But also what that has done is it has given access to anybody to tools in so many different niches and areas to improve the businesses, right? And I think the use of technology within law has kind of the opportunity for completely changing the delivery of the service and of work. Like we already see it now. There's a lot of legal services you can consume online only, right? It's an online kind of service, not just face-to-face. There's a lot of opportunity to automate processes. So there's a lot of data sitting in law firms, which has not been mined in a way with natural processing, language processing to get proper information and stats out of that. So there's a huge opportunity in that. It's something that we're trying to do to change the way and how people collaborate internationally and also form alliances to kind of build, instead of consolidating with others and merging and building one single brand and become a global beast, more staying nimble and independent in local jurisdictions and be the best there, but internationally connect with others, like-minded firms who have kind of the same values as you do, to still have the global reach and the impact like big global firms. That's kind of the way and how I see things are moving around a little bit. It's not going to be a robot lawyer in anytime soon, but it's definitely to support lawyers. If you build something within the law, you actually doing something specific to a certain area of law. What we're trying to do is staying around the law, which means just the process of law. So it's scalable. We're just trying to sit around it and kind of automate the process of delivering law, but not actually doing the law part.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
kind of what
yeah, so the law part actually still comes from humans. You're just sort of doing the connections.
Exactly.
Feels like a very sort of multi-function platform. I mean, you can do cross-border work on it. You can manage your relationships.
It is. So I always think in end-to-end solutions and platforms. When we looked into law firm networks and how lawyers interact with the network, those were the different things. One is keeping track of the network and connecting. The other thing is tracking business referrals. And then one higher up is the international cross-border collaboration. One higher up with that, we've also partnered with a payment platform. We have full integration into a new way on how to save money on international bank transactions as well. And whatever else we discover in the future, what is needed, will be bumped on top.
Yeah, it sounds like a very comprehensive solution.
A lot of work went into it, thinking about it, and then planning, and then building the wrong thing 5 times, and then slowly figuring out just on the way and what's needed.
So you actually flew around to different law firms around the world to show this product?
A little bit, but I was already in Europe. That was when I was planning of getting engaged.
Right, okay.
So the trip was already planned and I was already over there, and it was just exactly before we flew out that I got a little bit of traction here. So I was like, all right, while I'm in Europe, I'm building the prototype. I've then asked some people, some lawyers here in Australia does anyone know anyone in London they can connect me to? I'm going to demo a tool, which I have not built yet. And they gave me an intro. I locked in a date and I had 5 weeks to build the prototype.
Wow, okay.
So, I did, and I kind of finished the prototype 7 a.m. in the morning. I just pushed it up there, didn't have time to test it, drove in to London into their CMS London office and demoed it, and worked out well.
Okay, so that was like one of your first few pitches, I guess, with that.
This was the first
prototype that
actual pitch of a product, of a solution, yeah. And it was all pre-product, right? And we just had this idea and a little bit of prototype, which was not usable. I built the prototype purely just to show it off, right? It wasn't really working. I needed help around building because I knew, okay, if I want to create a business around this, I can't just sit by myself and trying to develop it, trying to do all around the business and everything by myself. So I had to get some money, some funding to hire the first person. I found our first backer, who gave us a little bit of money right at the beginning, a law firm partner who is still advising us. Her name is Celia Davis, and she's within Trademarks. That gave me the opportunity to hire someone. And at the same time also, I applied for the Jobs for New South Wales startup grant, and we got that as well. So we got a little bit more money in, and then it just kept going. I just kept hiring people. I just kept raising money. I kept getting more law firms on board, and I just kept with the momentum, and it just, So the first hire was our head of engineering, Grant. He was the first developer. Basically, I've hired straight up another developer and another developer and another developer. It was all about development.
Yeah.
And then once we had kind of the core infrastructure in place, we got design on top of that. And now we're redesigning everything. We're putting proper usability and user experience design on top of that. And now that we kind of have a product, we also have marketing. And our head of growth, who is Ben, who is in New York.
Right. He's
the person now trying to generate the leads and kind of the traction for us so we have people to talk to and sell it into. So the next hire will be around customer success to help with implementation and handhold lawyers to drive them to success very, very early within the platform. And obviously sales to help us already capture all the leads we get in to convert into then paying customers. That's kind of the next track. And once we have nailed that within our main jurisdictions, we're trying to implement that all around the world. The companies that raise hundreds of millions of dollars and spend it very, very, very quickly purely to grow, it's hard on everyone in your life. So be prepared about that as well if you're in a relationship.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode in a series where we interview business leaders, tech innovators, and startup founders about their business journey, insights, and reflections. If you find value in this, please leave us a comment below. And also like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Enjoy!